I'd like to call to order this Records and Public Safety Committee. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is an adoption of the agenda. I need a motion to adopt.
Support Zinner.
I've got a motion from Commissioner Grote and a support from Commissioner Zinner. Any additions, corrections, or anything you want to talk about? If none, please vote. It's going to be a roll call vote, or I'm sorry, a verbal vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
He can't vote.
He doesn't care. He does what he wants.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. Nard. Item 4 is public participation. You're allowed 3 minutes per speaker related only to the issues on this agenda. The first opportunity for public participation is for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any item which is on today's agenda. The second opportunity for public participation is for those who wish to speak on any issue. Anybody in the audience would like to speak for 3 minutes on any item on this agenda? Brandon, you have nothing to say? Okay, thank you. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go to item 5, which is department recommendations. Item A is a budget amendment, Circuit Court Fiscal Grant Fund, Michigan State Court Administrative Office, $34,930. I've got Christina Oldfield, who's the Court Services Director, going to speak on that. Before she does, I need a motion to move this to full board.
So move, Hall.
Been moved by Commissioner Hall, supported by Commissioner Grote.
I'm Christina Wofield. I'm the Director of Court Services over at Circuit Court, and I primarily monitor all of the special court programs. The original budget, we did actually get around $34,930 extra as a total amount for each of the grants.
Do I gotta say it all over again?
Yeah, we heard you.
Okay.
We got it. Keep
So
going.
we're just asking at this point in time to submit that amendment to you.
Okay, let's see if we have any speakers here. Letting you off easy. I see no speakers. I have a motion and support. I see no speakers. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was
Motion passes
easy.
12-0.
Thank you. Item B is a purchase, Lenco Armored Vehicle SWAT Bearcat, $395,592. We have Captain Doherty here who's going to speak on it. I need a motion to recommend this to full board, please.
So move.
Support Zinner.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Hall, supported by the lady that just came in late, Commissioner Nard. Captain, you're up.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Board. I also have with me Sergeant Conklin, who is a sergeant assigned to our SWAT team to answer any technical or tactical questions you should have them. Before you is a purchase request for a Lenco armored vehicle, a SWAT Bearcat in the amount of $395,592. The purchase of the Lenco Bearcat will replace a Cayman MRAP currently on loan from the federal government via the 1033 LASO program. The MRAP is a military-designed vehicle used to safely move troops in the presence of explosive devices such as an IED. This vehicle is very costly to maintain and service. The MRAP is a 6-wheel vehicle that's extremely large and hard to operate in an urban environment. We are limited by federal government on what we can use this MRAP for. An example is we can't use it when executing a high-risk search warrant. The Bearcat doesn't require any specialized training to operate, such as the actual MRAP requires operator to have air brake training in order to operate it. The Bearcat is built on a Ford Super Duty 450 frame, and it drives similar to a large heavy-duty truck. Lenco Industries is a sole source vendor. They are registered with SAM.gov. The money is available in our fiscal year 2024 state forfeiture fund for this purchase.
Thank you, Captain. I do have a speaker, Commissioner Lucido.
What's the life expectancy on the vehicle?
Well, we've had one since 2016, and I think we have about 9,000 miles on it, so I would say it's, I don't know the life expectancy, but I would say it's gonna last us a long, long time.
Okay, and the second question is about approximately how many times a year do you use it?
This year, we've been activated 6 times, our SWAT team has been.
All right, thank you.
Wow.
Seeing no other speakers, I have a motion in support to move this to full board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Great presentation, Kev.
Thank you.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. That's. Commissioner Hall, you looking for permission to leave? Yes. Okay. Item number C is a resolution
Yeah, I'm good.
2024. Item 11954, resolution approving the 2023 Homeland Security Grant Interlocal Agreement. We have Director Brandon Lewis here is going to give us a presentation. I need a motion to move this full board, please.
So moved by Nard.
I have Commissioner Van Sickle and a support by Commissioner Nard. And Director Lewis, you're up.
Okay, so these interlocal agreements before the board today are related to our annual Homeland Security Grant appropriation. As you'll probably remember from previous presentations, we in Macomb County serve as the regional fiduciary for all of Southeast Michigan. We are awarded on an annual basis approximately $4.5 million, which we are then responsible for dividing up amongst the regional partners down here in Southeast Michigan, being Detroit, us, Monroe County, Oakland County, St. Clair County, Washtenaw, and Wayne counties. The interlocal agreement that is before you is the agreement that we subsequently enter into with each of those jurisdictions in order to establish the legal relationship that allows us to transfer money between us and them for reimbursement of allowable expenses.
Okay. Chair Brown.
Thank you. These are monies going for wages and fringe benefits for the units. Is there any equipment associated with that?
It's actually mostly equipment. There are some wages and fringe benefits that you'll see in the budget amendment. The vast majority of those are actually related to the administrative staff that we employ to do all of the work that I just discussed, passing the money back and forth. So we're entitled to 5% of the award in order to do that, and that supports the time of 2 full-time staff that make that happen. But most of it you'll see is in, I believe, it's either contracted services or disbursements to other local governments. That's how we disperse the money to those other units, and then they account internally for what they've done. I would say somewhere between 50 and 60% of the purchases made region-wide are equipment necessary to enact Homeland Security priorities.
Yeah. I didn't see the list of the equipment that we're buying with the money. I saw the fringe benefit. Did I not see the schedule?
There's no schedule of equipment because we are, generally speaking, not the ones purchasing the equipment. We're reimbursing the other units for the purchase of the equipment. We will be making some equipment purchases with our share of the award, which is about $550,000. Those have not yet been determined, and we will bring those back individually as we purchase them in order to seek board permission. In fact, we have 2 of those items on the agenda later today.
Can you give me what's on the top of the list you're thinking?
So generally speaking, what we fund with ours,
Yeah.
equipment-wise, most of it goes to supporting specialty teams on the law enforcement and fire side. So you'll get some law enforcement tactical. About 30% of our award is required to be spent on law enforcement terrorism prevention activities. So we'll have some equipment there. And then we use a pretty good portion of it to support the hazmat and technical rescue teams that the county employs.
Is there
on
any
the fire side.
training money that?
Yep,
do you
we
use for
train, from that too. Generally, the expenditures come in 4 categories: equipment, training, exercises, which is like practical training in the field, and then the development of plans, policies, and procedures for the
I
use of the
remember when this
assets.
first came about, there was some controversy. Now it's operating very smoothly, but I think it'd be helpful for the board to see the equipment because all they see is, the personnel items and the documents. So I want to let them know that.
Yep,
Okay.
and I can work with the exec's office to put something together.
Appreciate that.
Yep,
Thank
sure.
you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Commissioner.
Chairman.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Hey, Brandon. The breakdown of the actual dollars and how you disperse them to all the counties, which I know the city of Detroit is its own separate. How does the city of Detroit participate in this with all the counties?
So it's a little bit convoluted and it's federally directed, but the program that we participate in is called the Urban Area Security Initiative. And what it does is it identifies high-risk urban areas, and the money is awarded. They do a risk analysis every year of the 100 largest by population, and then they decide which to award funds to based on regional risk priorities and things like that. But one of the federal grant requirements is that in addition to all of the counties in the urban area, you must include the core city as part of the decision-making and expenditure process. So the city of Detroit becomes involved, whereas none of the other cities do.
So the funding source is already determined by the feds.
Correct. It's
Or-
determined. It's determined by the state. The federal government awards us the $4.5 million every year. The state, as the state administrative agent, subsequently divides that up and tells us exactly how we're going to divide that out amongst the 7 partners. So that comes in our grant agreement, and then it ends up being written into the interlocal agreements that we execute with the local units.
With us being the administrator, do we get any increased funding because of that?
We get an additional 5% for the personnel costs to manage the program. We don't get any additional operational costs. Although I will say we have undertaken significant efforts over the past years to bring Macomb County's proportion up in relation to some of the others, and we've had success with that. If you go back into the budget documents and look, we've nearly brought Macomb County's share equal with Oakland County's on a risk. We're almost at parity now. 10 years ago with that program, that was not the case. We lagged behind significantly. So, and some of that has to do with the access that we have. You know, we've been able to utilize all of the big picture information before us to make arguments that our risk really is higher compared to some of those other entities, i.e. the border and things of that nature.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Van Sickle, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Sabatini asked essentially where I was going. You said the state determines the percentages.
That's correct.
Is that a state department or the state legislature or?
It's done by the Michigan State Police Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division. They are the state administrative agent. They're empowered to do that by the federal grant guidance.
Okay, thank you. And you also said for allowable expenses.
Correct.
Who determines whether an expense is allowable?
The federal government, the final decision rests with FEMA. There's what's called an authorized equipment list, and then the grant, and then in addition to equipment, the grant guidance lays out general areas that are allowable under this terrorism prevention program. We are allowed discretion in deciding what is an allowable or not expenditure. We do submit all of those to the state of Michigan for review prior to expenditure, and they provide us with a written opinion on whether they think that's an allowable expenditure or not. So there's very little risk on our part when we undertake one of those expenditures. It's been reviewed by somebody at the state, and if they have question on it, it's been reviewed by somebody at FEMA to determine whether it's allowable.
That was my next question, whether we had any liability of passing money out and then another department coming back and saying that's not allowed.
So the way the interlocal agreement is written, so we run all those expenditures for our share. We run those expenditures through the state of Michigan, and there's very limited risk because of the number of eyes that are on it. The interlocal agreement is written in a way that we have provisions to recover any funding that's improperly spent by one of the units that we pass money through to. There's very, very limited risk to the county.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Brandon, I just have a question. You and I, when we spoke yesterday, when I was asking you about this, you had mentioned some cities that are allocated this funds. Did I did not hear Sterling Heights?
So Sterling Heights is included in our allocation as Macomb County. And so they're not specifically allocated funding under the program. However, Sterling Heights is a very active participant in what we call our local planning team, which is what decides how we spend the money. And a lot of money has been passed through from our $550,000 share to Sterling Heights over the years to support these.
Thank you for the money.
Terrorism
That's all I have.
opportunities.
Any other commissioners have any other questions? We need a vote count. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Motion
I'm sorry,
passes
did
12-0.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, what was the vote count?
12-0.
Yes, thank you. Okay, let's go to item D, which is a budget amendment, Emergency Management and Communications 2023 Homeland Security Grant Program $4,484,000. Again, I need a motion to move this to full board, please.
So moved by Nard. Or support.
We got a motion by Commissioner Zinder, supported by Commissioner Nard. Go ahead, Brandon.
All right, so this is the same grant award we were talking about for the interlocal agreements. What you'll have is two budget amendments in the packet. One covers the $550,000 that's awarded directly to Macomb County as our award under the program. The other budget amendment covers the remaining $3.9 million that we pass through to all of the other entities that participate. It also covers our administrative costs as the county.
Got it. Any questions, commissioners? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. We got you up again. We must like you. Okay.
I'm apparently the party today.
Item E is a purchase, a Motorola radio encryption equipment and software for emergency management and communications, Homeland Security Grant Program, $73,809.37. I need a motion to move this to full board, please.
So move, Hall.
I have a motion by Commissioner Haas, supported by Commissioner Grote. Brandon, please.
So this is one of the purchases from our local award share. What we're doing, we're requesting approval of a purchase from Motorola for $73,809.37. And what this equipment will do will allow our technical services division, which is our radio shop, to encrypt certain channels on public safety radios so that information can be passed back and forth between the users in a secure manner. That's very, very typical in a law enforcement environment, especially in a law enforcement environment where you have specialty teams operations like SWAT operations, sensitive information, things like that. It also keeps bad actors, as we call them, from being able to hack into the radios and observe the communications and the data that are being passed back and forth in between. This is a really good project for us. It's going to help get some of our teams up to the latest and greatest encryption standard on these radios. And believe it or not, it helps us meet a cybersecurity requirement that's embedded into our grant award.
I have one commissioner, Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Was this bid out?
This is purchased with pricing offered under Motorola's state contract. So Motorola is pretty much the exclusive vendor for this type of equipment. They have a contract with the state that details the pricing for all of their various gadgets and
And we get
gizmos.
that price.
And we get that price,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Chair Brown.
Will we be partner with local agencies to extend this to them as well?
Yes. So in fact, some of the radios that will be encrypted in our plan will likely be local radios. The determining factor is not so much who owns the radio, but what the function of the radio is. So the radios we're going to touch first as part of this project are the ones that are used as part of specialty law enforcement operations. So really for us, it doesn't matter if it's the sheriff's department teams that are doing it, although a significant share of this will be going to the sheriff's department, but it will be affecting other law enforcement agencies that participate in these teams as well.
It's another thing, commissioners, you can tell your local units of government that the county's providing for them for free. That we buy equipment to help them service their equipment, and part of our cooperation agreement, but just a little thing that.
The project is really, there's two things going on as part of this purchase to Motorola. The first part is the gizmo that we're buying to actually affect the encryption. And then we are actually paying for a certain number of radios to get what we call the software flash, which is the upgrade. They load the software onto those radios and then they become fully capable of operating at that highest level of encryption.
The Victrola that the chairman mentioned, does that have to turn with a crank, or did we use a different operating system?
Hey, hand cranks are secure, so we should be good to
You
go.
don't even know what a Victrola is.
I do, actually.
Is that all you have, Commissioner?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Sorry, I need a vocal vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? May I get a count, please?
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item F is also Mr. Lewis. We're proud to have you in front of us. Purchase Motor City Electric Technologies, Inc., Tower Sites Access Control Equipment and Installation in the amount of $55,620. I need a motion to recommend this to full board,
So
please.
moved, Perna.
Support, Lucido.
I have a motion by Commissioner Perna, supported by Commissioner Lucido. Brandon, last but not least.
Another grant-funded project fully from the Homeland Security Grant Fund. In this one, also helps secure our radio communications over our communication system. For those of you that don't know, our radio communication system operates over 14 radio towers spread out across the county. Approximately 7,000 public safety radios operate on that system every day. One of the issues that we have, those towers were built in two phases, one in the mid-2000s, 2005, 2006, the second in the 2015 to 17 range. All of those towers are secure with hard keys right now. And we have our stakeholders that need to get in, all of our technicians. We have some local law enforcement agencies that need to get in. We have some technical folks from the Michigan State Police that have to get in, and we have to have keys available for all of those organizations. As you can imagine, with turnover rates today, it's very difficult to get those hard keys back. So we would like to upgrade all 14 of those sites to electronic locking systems, just like we have here in the county buildings. We're using our contract with Motor City Electric. They're the vendor that does all the locks in all of the county buildings. So the locking system will run on the exact same system that all the other county buildings lock on. And in fact, our staff will be able to access the towers with our existing employee ID badge, and we'll be able to assign credentials to just the people that need to have access to those sites, and we'll be able to disable that access as soon as it needs to be disabled, instead of having to track down hard keys and things like that.
Thank you. We have some questions here. Commissioner Van Sickle.
So this access will be like a code as opposed to an electronic card?
No, I'm sorry, it is an electronic card.
Okay.
They're gonna look just like the ones on the doors here. It'll have the black reader. Hold your card up to it, it'll buzz in. We control who gets the access via a centralized computer system.
And do we have video at those sites, security videos?
Yes, I believe we do.
And those come back to Comtech or someplace?
I think the radio shop can see those.
Okay, so we can actually verify that who is doing the thing can act?
Correct.
Okay, good.
And then most of those sites are on public safety properties, so they're generally well protected. They're generally at a police or fire department. There's just one more level of security because that public safety communications is paramount. We cannot have that interrupted.
Right. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Chair.
you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lucido?
Yes, will there still be like key access if there's like some sort of like failure to the system then?
We're big on redundancy in emergency management. There will be keys, but there will be a lot fewer keys, and they'll be contained to our staff and to absolutely mission critical personnel that need to access the site.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Brown, I'm sorry, Chair Brown?
Thank you. In 2005, another thing that commissioners need to be aware of, that this county board of commissioners in 2005 bonded $11 million and went out for a bond to put those towers up to improve emergency management across the county. So it's another thing that this county did, this board of commissioners did for emergency management to better protect all of them across the county. And it was a controversial vote, right? No one got a bond, it means a debt, and people were nervous about that. But the board went ahead and did it, spent $11 million putting up those towers, and we've got an outstanding service that's, needs maintenance, but something that, we have in place. And just point that out for you again, as something you tell your local community, that tell them about the other thing we just paid for, and toss this in there when you tell them.
Our radio system is state of the art. It's part of the larger state system, the MPSCS, but it's the largest standalone system on the MPSCS. And
By the way,
Oakland
do you need
County
my
modeled
key?
their system after ours.
Do you need my key? No, I'll just show.
It's got one of the originals. You all set, Commissioner?
From 2005.
It's wood. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Chairman.
see no other speakers. I need a verbal vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And if I
Motion
may-
passes 12-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioners.
Mr.
I
Lewis.
appreciate your time
Appreciate
today.
Incidentally, you make a nice presentation. You have all the facts and figures. You really make it easy for us. Thank you. Okay, item 6 is public participation. This is the opportunity for public participation for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. James, you have anything to say?
You have anything?
Okay,
Were you talking to Perna?
going once, twice, 3 times. I'm going to close public participation and move on to commissioners' comments. You're going to have to show me by hand who wants to speak. Anybody? Commissioner Hung.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to advise all the commissioners, we had our first child support meeting. It was attended by 24 Macomb County employees representing 17 departments. Chair Brown, Commissioner Romano, Commissioner Van Sickle, Commissioner Sabatini. Were you there, Sarah? Commissioner Lucido were all there. We met for an hour and 45 minutes. It wasn't intended to go that long. There was a tremendous amount of dialogue. We've asked for roles and responsibilities from each department, along with a flow chart of how long, timing-wise, things take in days to move through the process. So far, I think we've got 3 departments that have responded. We were remiss in not inviting the Attorney General's office and the probation department, so they have now been added to the list as well. And what I was talking to the captain about out there is the suggestions that are rolling in for a system that supposedly was working so well. The amount of suggestions for continuous improvement, and that's what we're calling it, have been phenomenal. So I intend on, after every meeting, updating the board on what transpired, and I can assure you progress is being made and will continuously be made. So that was an update.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me, if I may add something to that. You know, at that meeting, it was just, to me, it opened my eyes. From the time period when people start making payments, be it male or female, for their child support, the time frame is just, it makes you want to get sick. It makes you want to throw up, because they can go almost, you correct me if I'm wrong, Harold, they got to go at least 2 months before the judge. Now, you figure 4 months before the judge. Now, think about that. That's 4 months that a parent does not receive any support. What are they supposed to do for rent every month, food, gas, car payment, utilities? Meanwhile, they go before the judge. The judge says, all right, you better catch this up, and they catch it up, and then tell them what happens later. Harold, next time around,
They have to go back in front of the judge again.
4 months again. So they can keep doing this every 4 months if they wanted to. So I think this program is great. I think what the whole idea of this is to shave off all of these people that want to, there's too many chiefs, I guess is my statement. There's not enough Indians out there, too many chiefs, and everybody's directing and nobody's doing the actual work. So anyway, that was my 2 cents. Anybody else want to speak? Let me know. All right, I don't see anybody speaking. I'm going to go to, I'm going to go to one more statement. I want everybody bow their heads in sympathy for Mr. Kraft and the jet, because he ran over a tire on the expressway today, and that was not good. Other than that, I need a motion for adjournment, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn
Support center.
by Commissioner Wallace, supported by Commissioner. This meeting's over.
We didn't vote.
Oh, yes, we did. What was the vote? Aye. We said it, we whispered. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Motion passes 12-0.
Motion's adjourned.